Today I am going to start on the outboard motor engine well, and to start I need to remove all these different cleats and different pieces of hardware. There are a lot of advantages for me installing an outboard motor well as opposed to having a transom hung outboard, and also compared to just maintaining or replacing the current inboard engine. Of course, the biggest disadvantage of installing an outboard motor well is the tremendous amount of work that will be involved. I have removed all of the hardware that I think I need to. As I was doing it, I realized that after I cut the lazarette, I'll have better access to some of the other hardware that's there. So I'm gonna leave it until I remove the top panel, and yeah, then I don't have to climb in and distort my body. It'll be a lot easier. So next I'm gonna just mark out where I'm gonna cut, prepare to cut the boat. Because there's so many different angles and curves when it comes to boat building and boat refitting, I first marked the center line. And with the center marked, I was then able to work off of that point to calculate all of the dimensions that I'd need for my cutout. I marked my cut line on the top of the lazarette, measured corner to corner, and yeah, same measurement, so I know I have a square. Now I'll just extend the lines down into the cockpit here, and I have my cut lines. I made the cutout using my angle grinder with a 4-inch steel cutting disc. The angle grinder would end up being a well-used tool during this project. Well, I cut a hole. Inside the hole was my exhaust pipe, my wiring for my stern light, and some air hoses for ventilation to the current atomic floor engine. This was a dirty and difficult job. It required climbing into small spaces, stretching my arms to their full extent, and struggling with machine screws that have probably been in place for 60 years. It's Friday. I think this is probably the 5th day of tearing things off of the boat or out of the boat. And I'm going to give you a rundown of what I've done so far. I'm still not finished, but today should be the last day, and then I'll continue to move on and start fixing the boat. So what I've done is I have cut the main hole for the engine well and removed all the hardware off the back, the stanchions and the pulpit. Safety lines are gone. I had one crack in the deck that I need to do repairing. I hope it doesn't extend too far once I'm there. My plans right now, since there isn't much to do at the front, is just get the cockpit and the motor and everything just up to a good standard to sail and make the 400 nautical mile journey to where I'm going. So yeah, all of the hardware, the cleats and everything off the back. I had a problem. I was going to remove the wood panels in the cockpit, but of course, on both sides, the last 2 screws don't come out. They turn and don't come out, so they're kind of superficial screws. They're for looks. I could tackle getting those out, but again, it comes down to time, and I don't have the extra 4 hours to tackle 2 screws. It's a waste of time. So I will do my best. I will do the deck work around them, and I will still finish these boards, but I will resand them in place the best I can, and then just refinish them. Also, the winches, I'm having difficulty removing the winches. I don't know what's going on. If anybody knows how to remove those, if there's a trick, then please leave a comment and let me know, because it is basically like a giant screw head at the top to turn that, but neither of them are turning. So I might get some WD-40, spray it in there, and then try again later. Yeah, I removed, or I cut half of the muffler off because the engine will be coming out. I removed the gas tank, which was a complete pain in the ass. It was a new gas tank, and I have no idea how they managed to get it inside. I almost think they did what I had to do. So I had to cut out some of the combing underneath the cockpit lockers in order to lift the tank out. I wonder if they also cut a hole that I just don't see and then repaired it later. Anyway, so yeah, today I will cut out a few more pieces. Gas intake, I can cut that off, and then I can just glass over, build that part of the deck up, and then yeah, never know it was there. I have no use for it, not using that old gas tank, not using the old Atomic 4 engine, so that can go. So I'm also thinking about removing this lid, and I need to remove the combing inside of it. This is just an Icebox, and I'm going to be removing the Icebox underneath, so there's no point having the lid. And you know, I don't know if anyone's ever had a problem, but there's no attachment for the lid. It just sits on top, so I'm surprised it's still here. It seems like it's something that could be lost. But also, like, it's got a combing, and of course it's inside the cockpit, but it seems like it's just a way for water to get in as well. So yeah, I'll just cut this off and then put a piece of plywood in there, glass it in place, and finish it off so it is a comfortable place to sit. So I've talked about how strong the Pearson Triton is, how strong it was built, how thick the fiberglass is. Check out how thick and how solid this combing is just to the cooler. Okay, so I've taken some time to use a 60 grit sanding flapper wheel on the lazarette. I want to remove all of the just gunk and some of the gel coat that's inside of there before I go and start trying to epoxy engine mounts and bulkheads in place. So it's almost done, but very dusty. So I stopped and just cleaned up some of the dust that was just blowing around in there. Working in the dust sucks, so I give myself a break from that and clean up some of the lazarette on top. Then I'll do a final pass with the, I have 2 flap wheels, and yeah, then I'll be pretty much ready to cut my opening for the engine and start epoxying different components in place. So I'm also going to need to use my flap wheel to sand away a 4-inch radius around my cutout, and I'll take care of that after I scrape away any loose gel coat with a paint scraper. And then what was going to be a 4-inch path around the opening turned into sanding off the entire surface of the rear lazarette. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we're going to continue tearing things out and hopefully start rebuilding.